You know, I really don't understand why FN decided not to put a rail on this gun. We're just gonna have to AK this. There we go. Oh wait, this is an FN high power, but it is not an FN high power. The spelling of the name isn't the only thing that's changed though. This gun was redesigned from the ground up. It is entirely new. And in fact, it shares more parts with the 509 than the original high power because it accepts the same sights as a 509. But does that really matter? Just like when an artist comes out with a new album and it sounds nothing like their previous albums, if it's still good, is that necessarily a bad thing? Now, it is no secret that I love firearm history, but there are dozens of other videos that can better explain the history of the high power than I can. So we're going to more specifically talk about this gun today. What you do need to know, John Moses Browning designed the 1911 that everyone's familiar with, but you only had 7-round capacity and the military wanted something with a little bit more magazine capacity. Browning envisioned the high power, which was a 9mm and had 13-round magazines, which was almost double the capacity of what they were using at the time, which was phenomenal. Unfortunately, John Browning passed away in his workshop before he finished the high power. The high power was massively successful and countries around the world built these guns for their own military. Now, the guns out of Belgium that are marked either Browning or Fabrique Nationale FN are some of the most collectible because they are so high quality. The finish is usually better, the metals are usually a lot better, and because of that, they will demand a premium. Expect to pay at least $1,000 for a gun that looks like it's been worn back, and it probably has been. Unfortunately, almost a decade ago, FN stopped making the high power altogether, but due to popular demand, it is back. While you might take a glance at this gun and say, that looks like a high power, it is not. While Springfield Armory, Grisan, Inglis, and other companies, both domestic and foreign, are making exact clones of the high power that take the original magazines and have original parts and grip compatibility, FN came a little bit late to the party with this announcement, and they decided that they're going to take an entirely new take on the high power and kind of reimagine it for the 21st century. Now, when this gun came out, a lot of people were wondering why, if FN was not staying true to the original and redesigning this handgun, why did they not include some features that are considered standard on handguns today? We have no Picatinny rail for a light, there's no cut for a red dot or anything like that, and there is no option for threaded barrels, so you can't suppress this gun unless there are some aftermarket barrels out there now that you could swap this out for. Now, at an MSRP of almost $1,400, you're getting a cast, not a forged aluminum frame, plastic grips, and some of the world's worst sights that I've ever seen on a handgun. Fortunately, these have been upgraded already to Ameriglows, which are a lot nicer. Now, a couple months ago, for whatever reason, only the FDE color went on sale for around $800 something. Now, my cousin is a huge John Moses Browning fan, and I've always thought that a high power is something that he should have in his collection, whether it was an old one or the new one. Fortunately, I was able to convince him to dump off a modified 509 that he had and get this high power in his collection, which I think is a much nicer gun overall. Now, I'll be completely honest, I've never had the opportunity to shoot an original Browning high power, so I don't have anything to compare this gun to. But in a way, I kind of like that because I can accurately tell you what this gun is for what it is. And I think it is a great looking handgun. I do wish that it had a little bit nicer grips. The feel in my hand is really nice, but fit and feel are sometimes two different things, and I don't necessarily shoot this gun quite as well as I would like to. The build quality of it does seem very nice. The color of this FDE is very cool looking. The trigger pull is very light and very crisp. I think for a lot of people that this gun is going to scratch that high power itch. Like I said, an original Belgian high power, now you're going to expect to pay low $1,000 range for that, and it's probably going to need to be refinished. But assuming you're not replacing the barrel and you're not replacing every single little component in it, you're still going to have a refinished, refurbished gun that you're going to spend probably more money on than just going out and buying this new high power. Now, obviously, you guys know I'm a big HK fan, and I had bought a USP 45 Tactical to scratch my Mark 23 itch. Unfortunately, that did not really scratch the itch. Later, I did end up going and buying an actual Mark 23, which there will be a video on in the future. But if you are a massive FN fan, this may or may not scratch that itch for you then. You might want this and the original high power, or you might really think that this is an offensive gun and you'll really want the original high power and you'll just say screw this one. So as I mentioned again, this is my cousin's handgun that he is letting me borrow, so thank you for that. And the day that he picked this up, we put maybe 100 rounds through this gun straight out of the box. So no cleaning, lubrication, anything like that. We had maybe one failure every magazine. So whether it was feeding, extracting, in my experience, every effing handgun that I have purchased brand new, I have had issues with out of the box. I found that they all require a little bit of a break-in period. Some people expect a gun to work perfectly fine right out of the box. On the FNs, that's just something that I noticed. At this point, he does have over 500 rounds through this gun. So I have not shot this gun yet today. We are going to do that for the rest of this video. All right, so first magazine of today. The trigger feels really nice on this. It tempts you to shoot the gun faster than you should, and my accuracy is suffering because of it. For whatever reason, that one was grouping all very left. So got a couple more magazines, and I did just put some goon tape to see if that helps me grip onto this thing a little bit better. Gonna go for headshots. A little bit high. That was good. Move over. A little bit high. A little bit low. A little bit high again. Perfect. All right, so good thing is that there have been 0 issues with this today. I've shot 4 magazines. I have 2 more loaded right now. So far, I would say that this thing is broken in and is completely reliable. And I do think that this grip tape is helping me ever so slightly hold on to this thing. They're touching. I dropped my hands there. Okay, I spoke too soon. So, we extracted, we have nothing in the chamber, and we have a round in the magazine. It did not actually pull the round in to feed it. We'll just clear that and keep going. Ah, that's low. All right, so finish off that magazine. That grip is so much better than the other ones. It is not as tight as my other personal handguns, but I can't complain too much. All right, I have a little less than 1 magazine of ammo left. So I'm gonna shoot these rounds, do some headshots. Nice. All right, and that's all I have. That grip, honestly, not too bad. But again, if I was an FN person, a John Moses Browning fan, this might be something that I would consider putting in my collection, either in addition or instead of buying an old high power and dealing with trying to get it refinished. This one has been about, 99% reliable today with only one issue, so that's pretty good out of all the rounds that we shot. I hope this has been informative. Again, at the price point, if you're paying MSRP, I think it's a little bit of a hard sell. My friends that have the high powers also have FNX 45s, and if you made them pick one over the other, again, they're going to take that FNX 45 every single time. But if you are a massive John Moses Browning fan, for some people, the high power is their favorite gun of all time. And whether or not this is to scratch the itch of just wanting a high power and you don't want to deal with having to refinish a classic high power, maybe this scratches the itch. Just know that it is not a true high power. It is a redesigned, reimagined high power. But if you have $1,000, $1,500 to burn and you're looking for a premium handgun that could maybe serve as a fun range toy, also serve as a duty gun and things of that nature, I would really point you more in the direction of a SIG P226, an HK USP. If you want a gun that is just going to run super well, super accurately, super crisp trigger, I would urge you to take a look at the CZ Shadow 2. I have only shot an SP01 and those guns are a little bit cheaper, but again, they shoot phenomenally too. There's tons of options out there for grip, stuff like that. So if this is something that you've really been considering, don't be afraid to go out and pick one up and try it out. But do set your expectations, understand what this gun is and what it isn't. It's a very cool new take on an older firearm, but it is not a clone of that firearm. So just make sure you know that going into this. I think now you have more than enough information for what you need, and I hope that this helps you guys make the best decision for you.